Hi, we're Common Silicon, and we're building infrastructure for tomorrow's scientific breakthroughs. I'm Zack Li. I'm an astrophysicist at UC Berkeley and Berkeley Lab, and I'm here with my co-founder, Gina Kohlmeyer, in the audience. So in my day job, I'm working on what will be the first telescope on the far side of the moon. So actually next year, when you look at the moon, we'll be on the back. And we're going to see a sky that humanity has never seen before. Super excited to get that data. But actually getting that data back is a whole thing. You should come ask me later how we're going to do it. And really, this is a pattern I've seen over and over in my career. That actually data transport is like this really important thing that makes or breaks groundbreaking experiments. I've seen this when I was working on a telescope called CHIME. This is basically a supercomputer with a dish, and the challenge is getting data between those. And during my PhD at Princeton, I worked on a telescope to measure the echoes of the Big Bang, where I saw actually lab mates spend a good fraction of a decade trying to get data off of a detector. And when we think about sensing and imaging, we often say, you're trying to get information from the physical world to sensors. But there's this hidden bottleneck here, which is you need to then move that data to computing. And this is one of these things that just eats up a ton of science time, and it can actually eat up a ton of budget too. So we're trying to fix this bottleneck and turn this particular part of the transport layer into a commodity. We're going to do this by making really fast chips. Now, the commercial sector is very good at making chips, but they're good for human scale sensing. So the iPhone in your pocket, it doesn't need to see a lot better than you can. But us scientists, we want to go beyond human scale, right? Galileo was grinding those lenses to make telescopes so that he could see farther into the unknown. So I also think that we're kind of building an essential part of tomorrow's discovery infrastructure, particularly for AI. Kind of a vision of the future is AlphaFold here, which was this breakthrough in protein folding, protein structure prediction. And it wouldn't be possible without this massive data set. It took 50 years to build the protein data bank. And so one lesson is maybe we should just build more data sets. But of course, you need instruments to build data sets. And so maybe another lesson is we should just build better instruments. But we're already seeing kind of cracks in this picture that more of the same data is not improving the models. That really, it's the instruments that are the problem, like the bottleneck here. They need to be able to see, for example, protein dynamics in this context. And so I really see two lessons here in terms of the future of science. One is that we really should be building these massive data sets, but we don't want to wait 50 years. So we need to be building data set factories, things where we can scale and take huge amounts of data at once. And also that those data sets have to be the right kind of data, that they have to contain the essential physics of the systems we're trying to understand. And so in terms of this, this kind of diagram of what I think is the future of science, Common Silicon is working just one node below this. So we're building chips that will unblock these instruments and make it so we can build scalable kind of data set factories. And that those instruments should then have the capabilities to take to capture the essential physics of those systems. And really, I do think this is the future of science, that if it can be digitized, it can be learned. And so we should work on this digitization. So we are a very experienced team of scientists, engineers, and operators coming together. Together, in aggregate, we have built and led $100 million experiments and companies. We have something like 50+ successful chip tapeouts. And we've written some papers. So I've already said, I'm Zack. Gina Kohlmeyer in the audience here is an incredible astrophysicist and director of the Sloan Digital Sky Survey, and has led very large engineering projects. And we're joined by amazing engineering leaders. Mike is a chip designer at Next, and Jim here is a professor of engineering at UCSB and a CEO of an advanced packaging company. And we're being advised by amazing people, Jay Lewis through BITS, who's previously at DARPA, and also Adam Thompson, who's head of product at NVIDIA. And we're coming together, seeking your catalytic funding to kind of open up these bottlenecks in science. So I'll talk about 3 examples here that seem very different, but actually they have the same bottleneck. So tornadoes, cancer, and the universe. So if you ever had a tornado warning, it came from this kind of 60s era technology a mechanically steered Doppler radar. And this thing will give you maybe 10 to 15 minutes of warning before a tornado hits. And we've known for decades that if we instead digitally combine thousands of sensors, we can make this warning time way longer. That just saves lives. And there are basically 0 of these in the US. And the reason is mostly that it's too expensive to go digital. But actually, half the cost of this kind of instrument is just connecting those sensors to the computing. And what's especially important is this scan rate. So what we have today scans the entire volume every 5 to 10 minutes. We could be scanning sub-minute. And the problem is that tornado formation has this critical time scale of about 1 minute. And so here's I think for this particular technology, all the big if trues are downstream applications. One big if true is, imagine if we had foundation models for tornadoes. There are so many mysteries of how tornadoes form, and it would be incredible to, for example, forecast hours in advance instead of just the warning. And we basically are not taking any data that is useful for that, because we're just not resolving the essential timescale. And similar applications in medical ultrasound, where you can scale up ultrasound units. And in my own field of astrophysics, I've got telescopes I want to build that are just 90% data transport. And what's weird is that in this case, we're super sure that these would be transformative if we could translate them. But the blocker is outside of science, right? It's this kind of scalability problem. OK, so just to get concrete, we've got actually a setup like this in the lab at Berkeley. Suppose you got $1,000 worth of sensors and maybe a $1,000 GPU. How much would you think it would cost you to move 32 gigabytes a second, really leverage that GPU? $30,000. And this is just insane, right? So if we want to see a future of discovery, if we want to use all that information from the physical world, how are we supposed to navigate this when we have this insane tax on actually learning about the physical world? So we are trying to build a $200 chip that can eliminate this, something we're calling a physical transport unit, or a PTU. And we've got 2 tricks. One is that historically, this kind of connector just has a bunch of additional functionality. So we think that by specializing on just transport and letting the GPU do the work at the end, that we can reduce the amount of silicon on this thing by a tremendous factor. And we're kind of riding the data center boom. We think by using chiplets that let GPUs talk to each other, we can hack those and then instead add some sensor blocks. And that will accelerate a program from something that would take forever and 5 years, and $100 million, to something that is achievable in maybe 30 million and have faster impact. Now, I do think there is a translation story for markets, but it ends up looking a lot like a low-margin manufacturing. And so what we're trying to do is turn a bottleneck into a commodity, which is something that markets, I think, are not great at. And I think it's super important that scientists should lead this kind of effort, but this is just impossible to do in universities. All the talent is in industry, and it's kind of the wrong shape. OK, so we want to build this chip and kind of build a permanent capability for science. I think with 20 to 30 million, we can get first silicon, and then another 20 could scale it. Thank you.